Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to a new video, and welcome to Moscow, Russia. Now today I thought I'd take you for a walk around Chistye Prudy, and this is actually one of the ponds behind me, but what we're really here to see is a tram parade. So let's go and check out some trams, shall we? The weather isn't the best today, and it's very overcast and cloudy and a little bit rainy. This is Chistye Prudy Boulavard, which is a very beautiful walk that you can take from where I'm roughly standing. About a 45-minute walk all the way down this path, and then you can come back around the pond right here on the right. We want to check out some trams. There is lots of things going on around Moscow today. Today is Moscow Transport Day, and they like to honor all of the different forms of transport that were used and are still in use in Moscow today. And some of these trams that you're going to see are really old, and they're pretty cool. Now, if you are watching this to learn some history, you're probably not going to get it watching this video. I literally know nothing about any of these different trams, apart from the fact they're pretty cool and pretty interesting. And I'm guessing they're going from oldest to newest. And you can check out this one right here. It's horsepower. Check that out. It's a 4-horsepower tram. Well, there's 4 horses. And some of the staff here are dressed in traditional gear. And you can actually get on them and have a walk around and check them out. But this is pretty cool. Just looking at this tram for a second, I noticed there's actually some steps here going to the second level. I wonder if you got a cheaper ticket if you actually sat outside. You know, imagine this in winter, how cold it would be to sit on that upstairs level. There is around about 20 trams all along the boulevard here. They've closed off the streets, which is very nice, so you can kind of walk around. Lots of people getting on board. I'm sure a lot of people being very nostalgic, checking out some of these trams that they remember from days gone by. And I'm pretty sure all these younger kids have never even seen these in operation before, except when they bring them out for these kind of parades. But there's lots of people around, even on a kind of cloudy, kind of gloomy day. And close these roads off. It's super nice too, because you can, not worry about crossing the street and, enjoy these trams, jump on board them. There's lots of media here too as well, lots of TV channels, and lots of bloggers and vloggers, I think. It's very neat. Oh, these apartments right here by the pond. How nice would that view be from their balcony? So nice. Number 2170. It's pretty cool. The drivers here are letting the kids get up close and sit in the driver's seat and experience what it's like to be a tram driver. Now, of course, these go on the overland streets in Moscow. Trams are still in operation here in Moscow as well. I wonder if there's any modern ones running today. I think most of this is honoring all the older retired trams. It's pretty neat. I know I'm going to say this a lot, but it really is cool. I'm into anything like this, where you see a little bit of Russian and then Soviet history, and all the people that are just showing interest in this. Wow, this is like a 2-car tram, almost like a train style with the separation right there. Everybody loves to get photos on these. And check out number 27 here. How cool is this? Oh, hello. All the chrome on the front as well. That's pretty cool. Check out all the chrome. And the person there getting their photo taken, they're not smiling. Smile. It's really cool. I love to see people that are interested in transport and different forms of transport. And how many people have come out to check this parade out. Now, the actual trams have been going around a circular loop here as well. So you could actually ride them briefly and go on board them And some of them have got the original routes that they did at some point through their history. Stepping on board, I think a lot of these have also been restored to a certain extent, so they've changed some of the seats, but no padded seats like you get now on the trains. It's just the original wooden look, but so nice. Walking around, it's so nice to see everybody's like smiles and happy faces, and getting to see these trams up close. A lot of the ones that we're seeing here are not in active operation. They're basically museum pieces now, but they bring them out a few times a year to show to the public. You can also go visit them at museums as well. But to get inside, sit in the driver's seat, it's very cool. It's very interesting seeing some of these trams because, you know, when you look at this one close up, well, even from a distance, it looks almost like a bus. But of course it's running on the tram tracks, and then you'll see on the top there the wires that would connect to the electricity, but it has that bus look to it. You know, it's amazing how they kind of overlapped. Let's go on board another one, shall we? Because it's cool and because we can. Oh, this has got the padded chairs. Check out these. Imagine these in the day. This was like the, you know, the fanciest tram they could make with the chairs. So they got two seats on one side and the single seats. Oh, everybody's really crowding on board. But how cool is it? And check this out from the driver's seat right here. How modern were they? They even had cameras back in the day. How modern is it that they had those? Well, I think the driver has that just for his own safety. But, you know, check out this. It's like the wheel here and all the controls. Okay. Yeah, this is very cool. Check out everybody on the street. Again, I just want to make sure that everybody's not watching for any technical information, anything about how old these are, what all the features are, and you're just enjoying the video and a nice walk around this tram parade here in Moscow. It's really interesting how some trams have got lots of people gathered around them and some don't, and some have more nostalgia than others. And just checking out all the features of them. Look at everybody taking photos there, and it's just very cool. I just think it's interesting. And PB3. I wonder, maybe in the comments I'm going to be inundated with information about these different trams that I'm seeing. So please let me know these different types. Some of the tram drivers here, and they're all having a chat with everybody, talking about the different features of them, and everybody's just jumping on board and wants to sit in one again. So on any normal day of the week, you can actually ride the trams on this line and use any of the normal public trams and use your Metro card or Troika card to ride the trams. And of course today they've closed it all off on this route, and look at all the people. Everybody's doing the full lap around and checking them out. TATPA. Again, the information about these I can't tell you much about, but I think there's a lot of transport buffs here coming to check them out and are very interested in them. Looking back, you can see all the different trams that we've walked by all the way down the street. Some of these very nice buildings here in the center of Moscow. Pretty sure this one's under renovation, but you know, a lot of people really very interested in these trams and checking them out up close and looking at all the features that you would really not see when you're riding them, and you can come and see them like this. One of the trams is actually stopped at the current tram stops on the route here, which is kind of neat because you can see the modernness against the old tram on the right hand side. And these are pretty cool stops as well. They've actually got the name in Russian, the name in English, and they've also got the information about the route. So if you want to actually catch this tram, you can also use an app on your phone, which is far easier to know when they run. And then they've even got the USB sockets here, so if you're waiting, you can actually plug in your power for your phone and charge them up. This one is a little bit more modern than the ones we've seen as we walk down the parade of trams. Let's go on board and check it out. It's got the individual seats, which is pretty cool. Again, a lot of these are, of course, museum pieces now. So they're, you know, kept in tram storage. Check this out. I think this is one of the ticket machines, is it? I think so. I wonder how that works. I guess you put your ticket in here and it brings it into a little catchment bin over here. That's pretty cool. So as I'm walking around, lots of people are recognizing me from YouTube, which is really, really fun. Lots of people asking for photos. So if you're watching this video, thanks for coming up and saying hello, taking a photo, just introducing yourself. I think lots of people recognize me from the video that I did of the big circle line, which was a really cool video that I enjoyed making. So yeah, I think a lot of fellow transport buffs are here. So big hello to everybody. So as I've walked along, I've just realized that these signs right here actually talk about the model of tram, and they tell you when they were in production in Russia and when they were used on the Moscow transport, and the speed and the size and all that sort of stuff. So if you really didn't know about them, I should have looked at this sign a little bit earlier, but no worries at all. So as we walk along one of the different trams, they've got a pretty interesting feature right here, and you'd actually have a ticket for the tram, and actually you'd put the ticket in the side here, and then you'd whack it, and it would actually validate your ticket. So if they checked your ticket, you'll know that you've ridden on this particular tram. I think one of the things that's noticeable as you go along each of the different trams is how big the windows got and how much more of a nice view you got sitting inside them. Just such big windows and, you know, nice views as you ride around. Not everybody rode trams as a means of transport. A lot of people took them as a bit of a day trip and ride a few different ones in Moscow. So it's nice just to sit in them and just ride around at a slow pace around the center of the city. Now on this particular tram, I noticed something that might be quite unique, and it might be on this model and afterwards, but if you look under the seats, you can see these metal boxes right here. You can see those, and these were actually heating in the trams. So a lot of the older models of trams didn't have heating, and then at some point they figured out the technology of this, and you'll see here the ducting along here, and then underneath is these heating ducts, so it kept you warm sitting on the chair. How cool is that? It's very interesting just to compare the different trams and the different extra features that they had. And imagine when this tram came into operation, it had heating inside. All those years you were sitting in the cold, and then you came into a modern tram with these heating bars underneath. As I make my way down the line of the different trams, it's interesting, this particular model, how long it is, especially compared to some of the earlier ones. You know, this is almost 3 trams in length compared to the first one that we looked around. And, you know, it's just interesting how they kind of developed over the years and how they became modernized. And the more modern seating, these plastic molded chairs, You know, this very iconic looking seating that's in them now. And actually you can see again the heating elements under the chairs right here. So it would blow the hot air through the tram. And then this one is also articulated, so there wasn't a need for separate carriages. And you've got the concertina here, which is quite synonymous with the buses. It's you know, much more modern than some of the trams that we've walked through. Lots and lots of people wanting to get photos in front of this particular model of tram. I wonder, between all the ones that we've looked at, what that curiosity is. Lots of people definitely want to get up in the cab with the driver and get a photograph and just have a look at some of the workings that you don't normally see when you're riding them. You know, you just take it for granted, you just get on them and go, and that's it. Everybody still walking around. I think everybody, when they come to Moscow, they love when they close the streets down and you can just wander around where you like. It's so nice to kind of not be hugging the pavement so often. I think kids love nothing more than to climb on things and jump on things and touch everything. And this is one of the tram maintenance vehicles. And the best that I can figure out, it's got this crane hook on one end, and then this basically articulates around. So I imagine they use this for maybe fixing and repairing the tracks. I'm not exactly sure, but it's a pretty neat machine that they've got here though. This is kind of towards the end of the parade here. I'm going to walk around a bit more and check out some of the other displays that they've got. There's some cars, there's also some old and new transport that they brought along. So as I'm trying to make my way around, just so many people here. So there's a guy here dipping ice creams in chocolate, and this may not look too strange. You know, ice creams are pretty much a very popular thing in summer in Russia. But have a look at the line for these ice creams. Now the ice creams are free, and this is part of the Moscow Transport Day. And have a look, they go all the way back to the street here, and everybody wants to have an ice cream. Now these aren't particularly famous branded ice creams, but everybody wants an ice cream on a sunny day. And check these things out. These are a field kitchen that they've set up right here in the square. And this is very traditional that they do this at a lot of events in Moscow and Moscow region. And the staff there are in kind of authentic costumes. And again, there's a line here for the food. This is again free. And this is grechka, which is a type of I don't know how to describe it, a rice that's boiled, and you get a piece of bread and you get some water. And this is a very traditional thing to do at some of these events. You know, there is cafes, by the way, all around where we are here. Literally there is maybe 50 cafes where you can go in and get something to eat, but why not line up and get yourself grechka on a nice day in Moscow? The line is wrapping around in circles, around and around. Hello. And it's kind of a bit of a Russian thing to do. Line up for some free food, free ice cream, something to drink. Everybody's very polite in line here. Sometimes you can get very emotional with people lining up for a fairly long time, but I don't think I'm going to brave the line for the sake of some free snacks. But I think it's kind of just interesting to show this at these events. Again, these are all provided as part of the Moscow Transport Day, and then part of the local administration of Moscow. They do all these events. It's very interesting. They've also got set up here this skipping game for the kids to get involved in. And they're actually, I think they're learning how to use a skipping rope. I think probably nowadays in the 2000s, the kids don't use them, so they're basically getting help here from one of the teachers. And then the kids can learn how to jump rope. They also have a table here with tea set up as well. And you get a cup of tea and a biscuit. And there's also some lollipops that they're giving away as well. Now I hope that YouTube is very nice to me and doesn't detect the music playing, because this is the song from Titanic. And you know, it's very nice to see and hear this. The guy playing on the violin. Wow. So nice. And everybody just hanging out, enjoying the music right here. There we go. And then over on the other side of the park here, there's a table set up where they're teaching people how to write, I guess, in a calligraphy style of writing. I'm not too sure. I imagine calligraphy is very hard, but also writing in Russian Cyrillic would be even more hard. But they've got their pens there with the ink. It's pretty neat. As part of the tram parade, they've also got some cars on display. Now, again, as I explained at the very beginning of the video, I really don't know much about it. Most of these, or all of them, but there is a limousine car here. This was actually part of the motorcades that the president would have, and the FSB, and then what was the KGB, they would have it as well. And there's a few different models of them stretching back up the street. And then there is cars all the way down the boulevard here. Now, the only car that I recognize on this entire street is the Moskovich 3E. This is actually the electric Moskovich. This blue one. Now, they don't look very different when you see them side by side. There's the 3E over there, the red one. And this is the 3E, the electric one. Now, it's just crazy how many people are showing interest in this car compared to all of the old cars that stretch the whole street. People are getting inside. Of course, always the kids are very interested, but it's just the amount of interest. Maybe people haven't seen these on the road yet. I wonder. You know, there's cars here from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and everybody wants to see a brand new Moskovich. It's just fascinating how many people are wanting to kind of get up close with the car. You know, you can go to a dealership in Moscow, literally 15 minutes from here, and go see these things parked up, and you can go for a test drive. Of course, I'm not sure if the kids inside have licenses yet, but you know, then we come over here and we see really the Moskovich cars on this side. These are the classic original model Moskoviches. These cars are absolutely beautiful, by the way. They're, you know, either original models or they've been restored and polished, and the original interiors. Absolutely beautiful cars. Even the person here would have had the classic number plates. Now, pretty much all of these got driven here and parked up earlier this morning when I first arrived. So these are all running examples of what the Moskovich. I'm not too sure though how authentic these things are. There's the dash camera, and then this one right here is to go on the freeways, to go through the toll roads. So it's not very too it's not too authentic, but the fact that they drive them on the road, and have a look at them all. How nice are they? I really do hope you find this video interesting. Again, I can't give you any technical information about the cars. You know, they are wonderful examples of what Moscovich cars were. And then you see all the crowds around the new models in the distance there. There's obviously lots of interest about seeing these old cars and seeing them all together. You know, this is kind of interesting to see them all parked up side by side, all the different models from the different eras. It's pretty cool for me to see. I mean, I just wish I knew more about them. I'm really not a car person. I'll tell everybody that even from the minute I switch the camera on. But some pretty neat examples of different models. There we go. It's not a Ferrari or a Porsche, but just as good a photograph. I found another interesting car here from the Soviet Union. This is the Zaporozhny. Now, I'm sure I've got the exact pronunciation incorrect, but this was built in what would be today Ukraine, but during the Soviet Union times, it was all part of USSR. And this is kind of interesting because it has a rear engine right there. That's where the actual engine is. It's not in the front. Now, the car itself is about the size of a Mini. I wouldn't even say that big. You can see the kids next to it, how small it looks, but you actually can see some of these occasionally on the roads. Maybe not in the center of Moscow, but out in the Moscow region, you'll see them. They're very interesting cars for the fact the engine is in the back. I find it really interesting, everybody taking photos of these and have a look at them up close. Especially a lot of the older people that are here. And a lot of people, I'm sure, have memories of riding in one or driving one at some point. And it's just fascinating. Yeah, the kids, especially the young kids, probably have no idea about these cars at all, you know, but they want to get up close and touch them. But some of these old models, I mean, these are absolutely amazing. And have a look at the hood ornament right here. It's like a gazelle, or maybe a deer of some kind. I think I'm going to get told in the comments about all the things that I've explained wrongly of all these different cars, but it's very neat to see them all here. There's a few different models of Volga car here as well, which is kind of an interesting Russian model also. They really did make big cars back in the day. I mean, these aren't small vehicles. I mean, I don't know how they possibly drive them now and how they find somewhere to park them. These would be a very difficult car to park in this modern times. This little lady wants a nice photo. It's just so interesting how many people, you know, want to take photos with them and stand around them and reminisce about times gone by. And it's just interesting seeing everybody's faces, especially the older crowd. You know, I grew up in more modern times with newer cars than what are around now. Hello.
Hi.
So these older cars were well before I was born, but they're pretty interesting to see up close and have a look at some of the features of them and have a look at all the people. It's becoming a really nice day from when we started this morning. Okay, everybody, we've come to the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed today's tram parade. I keep wanting to say different words what it's called, but it was a tram parade. Actually, when I first arrived, literally they were going around the loop right where I came out of the metro station, and then they parked up so we could all actually get on board and have a look around them. So I hope you found this interesting. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the different trams and some of the cars, and how many people we're gathered around the new Moscow E3 compared to all the older cars. It's kind of interesting at this kind of a nostalgic event. People want to see the most modern version of a car. So yeah, thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. I'm not too sure why thumbs downs would be a thing on a tram video, but you know, what can I do? I have posted another video for you to watch right after this one, so you can check that out right away as soon as this is finished. Maybe something you've not seen before on the channel. And I'm off on another adventure. Bye everybody.